The most watched sporting event on Earth is coming to North America. 48 teams, 16 cities, 104 matches, and 3.5 billion people watching at home. The headlines write themselves: record viewership, record tourism, the beautiful game on its greatest stage. Every word of that narrative is engineered. The World Cup is not a football tournament with a ticket problem. It is a revenue extraction machine with a football tournament attached. The sold-out stadium was sold before you were ever allowed to buy. The fair lottery was designed by behavioural psychologists to keep you waiting, not winning. The secondary market is not a bug some tech company created. It is a deliberate feature that FIFA profits from twice. By the end of this video, you will never look at a tournament ticket page the same way again, because we are going to pull apart exactly how each layer of this system, the phantom ballot, the corporate enclosure, the algorithmic scalpers, and the dynamic pricing trap was built, not despite the fan, but from the fan's desperation. Picture the moment. You clear your calendar, you open the FIFA ticketing portal on the day sales go live, you have your FIFA ID ready, your card details saved, and 3 years of anticipation sitting behind your eyes. The page loads. You join the queue. An hour passes, then another. You reach the checkout screen, and the seats you wanted are gone. The prices on what remains are not prices, they are ransoms. For the 2026 World Cup final at MetLife Stadium, a seat in the cheapest section of the upper deck now starts between $8,000 and $9,775 on the secondary market. The average resale price across all sections is hovering around $11,272. For a Category 1 seat near the pitch, asking prices routinely range from $15,000 to $38,000 and beyond. This is not a demand, this is design. FIFA announced dynamic pricing for the 2026 tournament, with group stage tickets starting at $60 and the final reaching up to $6,730 from the official portal. The $60 entry point was the headline. It was also the lure, because the $60 ticket was never the ticket most fans could realistically access. It was there to make the system look democratic while the real game played out somewhere else entirely. What you just experienced at that checkout screen has a name. It is called artificial scarcity. The seats exist. The stadium is full. But the supply available to you was rationed before you ever logged in, routed through a series of filters that had nothing to do with your loyalty and everything to do with your economic value to the machine. The World Cup was sold out before the public sale began. The public just does not know it yet. Over 4.5 million fans applied for early purchase windows for the 2026 World Cup. 4.5 million people raising their hands, submitting their information, waiting on a randomized draw for the right to spend thousands of dollars on a ticket. FIFA called it a fair ballot. Behavioural scientists would call it something else entirely. The lottery is not designed to give you a ticket. It is designed to keep you engaged. There is a principle in psychology called loss aversion, and it holds that the pain of losing something feels approximately twice as powerful as the pleasure of gaining the same thing. FIFA weaponizes this every single cycle. Once you enter that ballot, you are no longer a passive observer. You are invested. You have something to lose, and so you wait, and you check your email, and you tell your family you are trying, and you stay emotionally attached to a process that was never built to serve you. FIFA operates multiple sequential sales phases, including a Visa presale draw, a general ballot, and last-minute fixed-price windows, each one releasing a small controlled batch of tickets, each one resetting the cycle of hope and disappointment. The staggered release is not logistical. It is psychological. Every new phase reactivates the loss aversion loop. Every new phase generates another wave of press coverage. Every new phase keeps the demand needle pointed at maximum. The ballot is a holding room. It keeps the most motivated fans circling the building, while the front door is quietly used by someone else entirely. If this video is helping you see the system clearly, share it with someone who is still in that queue, and subscribe, because what comes next is where the real money changes hands. Before the public ballot opens, before the Visa presale, before a single ordinary fan can even register interest, a significant portion of the most desirable seats in every stadium have already been sold. They were sold to corporations. They were sold through a parallel ticketing universe that operates under a different name and a different price list, and it has been running for months. FIFA appointed On Location as the official hospitality provider for the 2026 World Cup, tasked with delivering what FIFA described as the biggest ever and most dynamic hospitality program for the tournament. On Location is not a fan service, it is a corporate sales operation. Single-match private suites start from roughly $43,200, with full private boxes for groups of 6 to 12 people exceeding $100,000 for a venue series. Single-match hospitality packages begin at $1,400 per person. A Follow My Team package, covering 3 group stage matches and a round of 32 match, starts at $6,750 per person. A venue series package covering every match at a chosen stadium begins at $8,275 per person. These are not premium upgrades, these are the seats, the Category 1 seats, the lower bowl, the sections closest to the pitch that appear on every broadcast camera angle, the seats that create the atmosphere, the proximity and the memory of being there. They are pre-sold to companies entertaining clients who have never followed the sport in their lives. Football Supporters Europe described the pricing as extortionate and called on FIFA to halt national ticket sales entirely, warning that costs were placing genuine World Cup experiences out of reach for ordinary supporters. FIFA celebrated its fan zones in response. In New Jersey, the official FIFA Fan Festival at Liberty State Park was listed on Ticketmaster with a paid entry fee. Even the free version of the World Cup is no longer free. The moment a new ticket batch goes live, software is already running. Not a person sitting at a computer refreshing the page. Software. Automated purchasing bots that can identify available inventory, complete a transaction, and move on to the next one in the time it takes you to read this sentence. By the time your browser loads the seating map, the best available tickets are already in a reseller's inventory. Bot-driven markups and speculative listings have been a feature of the 2026 World Cup market since before individual tickets were even officially available for purchase, with resale platforms advertising World Cup inventory months before FIFA's primary sales phase is concluded. The bots are not operating in secret. They are operating in plain sight on platforms that FIFA is fully aware of, under terms of service that prohibit them in writing and ignore them in practice. Sites including StubHub, Vivid Seats and Event Ticket Center were already displaying high-demand event warnings and 3 to 4% of tickets left. Notifications on their World Cup listings, messaging designed to compress your decision-making window and push you toward an immediate purchase at an inflated price. The urgency is manufactured. The scarcity language is a sales script. This is the layer of the system that the governing bodies point to when they want to look like victims. They did not create the bots, they say. They cannot control the secondary market, they say. We will examine that claim very carefully in the next chapter, because the evidence says something completely different. For past World Cups, FIFA typically capped resale prices at face value, while taking fees of 10% or less. For 2026, FIFA abandoned price caps for matches in the United States and Canada, charging both buyers and sellers a 15% fee on its official resale platform. FIFA's own resale platform, the governing body that presents itself as the protector of the fan experience, has built a secondary market, removed the price cap and charges 15% on every transaction. 15% on every transaction. FIFA operates an official secondary market in the United States and Canada, and because prices are uncapped, asking prices have completely detached from original face value. The governing body is not turning a blind eye to scalping. The governing body is the scalper. But the story gets deeper. Evidence emerged suggesting FIFA was channeling unsold inventory directly onto third-party platforms like SeatGeek, with entire sections of seating appearing simultaneously on secondary market listings in patterns that do not resemble individual fan resales. One analyst noted that ordinary fan or commercial scalper resales look like pairs and fours and scattered seats, not bulk inventory being dumped in blocks onto secondary platforms at prices below FIFA's official site. The likely reason FIFA would not simply lower prices on its own portal is that official price cuts could trigger refund demands and consumer protection complaints from fans who already bought at much higher prices, so the inventory moves through third parties instead. The same seat, cheaper, through a different door. and FIFA keeps its official price list clean. You already know what dynamic pricing feels like from airline tickets and hotel rooms. You searched for a flight on Tuesday, came back on Thursday, and the price had jumped $200. The model was built for inventory that can expire, for seats on a specific plane on a specific date, where unsold capacity is lost revenue. FIFA applied that logic to sport, and it changed what the World Cup costs to attend in ways that are only now becoming clear. FIFA confirmed that prices would vary based on market demand, with group stage tickets starting at $60 and scaling up to $6,730 for the final. The $60 floor existed, the ceiling did not. Through dynamic pricing applied directly on the official portal, Premium Category 1 section scaled up to $32,970 face value, before the secondary market added its own layer on top. The New York and New Jersey Attorneys General announced a formal investigation into FIFA's ticketing practices, citing reports of exorbitant costs, fans being misled about seat locations, and staggered ticket releases designed to inflate demand and justify higher prices. The investigation cited specific allegations that FIFA had redrawn stadium seating maps after tickets were purchased, creating new front category premium zones inside existing sections, leaving some buyers who believed they had purchased top-tier seats reassigned to less desirable locations. A US congressman wrote directly to FIFA President Gianni Infantino, noting that the original 2018 World Cup bid to host the tournament had promised an affordable static pricing model, and that FIFA had quietly abandoned that commitment. The promise was made to secure the bid. The promise was not kept. There is a fan who has followed their national team for 20 years. They have watched every qualifying match, bought every replica shirt, and told their children about the day their country played in a World Cup. For the 2026 tournament, their country is playing in the host nation. The World Cup is literally in their backyard. They cannot afford to go. Football supporters. Europe calculated that a supporter following their team from the first group match through to the final, via the official National Association route, would pay at least $6,900. That is almost 5 times the equivalent cost at the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. The 2022 World Cup, held in a country that flew in migrant labour and built stadiums in the desert heat, was 5 times cheaper for the average fan than a tournament being held across the richest sports market on earth. Local New York politicians launched public campaigns demanding that FIFA end dynamic pricing, cap resale prices, and reserve 15% of all tickets for residents at a discount. The campaign was called Game Over Greed. FIFA did not respond substantively. The tournament will happen. The stadiums will be full. But the people filling them will not, in large part, be the people who built their lives around the sport. They will be corporate guests, wealthy tourists, and business travellers who attended for the experience and will not remember the score. The atmosphere that makes the World Cup worth watching on television is created by the people who can no longer afford to be in the building. The formal investigation by the New York and New Jersey Attorneys General is seeking comprehensive records on ticket allocation, pricing decisions, and communication with fans. This is the first time a government body in a host nation has formally demanded FIFA open its books on ticketing. It will not be the last. But watch what happens next, because the institutional response to public scandal at this level follows a pattern that has been running for decades. FIFA will issue a statement acknowledging fan concerns. FIFA will point to the $60 supporter tier as evidence of its commitment to accessibility. FIFA will describe the secondary market as an external problem it is working to address, and FIFA's official communications will say nothing about the 15% resale fee it is collecting, the bulk inventory its officials are reportedly routing through third-party platforms, or the seating maps that were quietly redrawn after fans paid full price. Fan groups have described FIFA as operating like a scalper using its own platform, while sporting committees have documented secondary market abuses in internal reviews. Those reviews do not become press releases. The press releases are about fan zones, legacy programs, and the beautiful game reaching new communities. The public relations narrative stays strictly positive because the revenue model depends on the next tournament selling out the same way, to the same corporate partners, through the same staggered phases, generating the same cycle of hope and loss aversion in the same 400 million people who are already registered in the FIFA ticketing system. The machine is not broken. The machine is working exactly as intended. Even President Donald Trump, when asked about a $1,000 entry price for a World Cup group stage match, said, "I wouldn't pay it either." When the sitting president of the host nation declines to defend the face value of a ticket to his own country's tournament, you have reached the end of something. The spell is breaking. Secondary market prices across the entire 2026 tournament dropped 24% in the 30 days leading up to kickoff. Not because FIFA changed its model, because demand, at the prices FIFA set, was not there. The machine was priced too aggressively, miscalculated the ceiling, and has spent the final weeks before the tournament quietly routing unsold inventory through the back door, while the official portal price list stays frozen. The scarcity was always artificial. The prices were always a test of how much the market would absorb. And for the first time in World Cup history, the market pushed back. Here is what you do with this information. Stop treating the ticket lottery as a fair process that you can win with enough persistence. Stop letting the emotional weight of once in a lifetime override your judgment about what a seat at a football match is actually worth. The behavioural psychology in that checkout flow, the countdown timer, the only 3 tickets remaining warning, the pre-sale exclusivity, every element of that experience was designed by people who study how to make you override rational thinking with emotional urgency. The World Cup is a great tournament. It will be a great tournament in 2026. But it is also a revenue program run by an organisation that has never prioritised the fan over the revenue, and the ticketing system is the clearest evidence of that priority in the entire operation. Watch the matches, support the sport, but do it with your eyes open. The checkout screen is not a portal to a dream. It is the final point of extraction in a system that has been processing your loyalty into revenue since the moment you registered your FIFA ID. If this video changed how you see the system, subscribe and share it. The next chapter of this story is already being written, and we will be here when it drops.